This is Escape Radio for Thursday, September 10th, 2020, and I'm your host, Frankie Aki. Before we get to the album for this week, I would like to ask you to subscribe, rate the show, and leave a comment. This would go a long way in letting the podcast universe know what you think about this show, and I would greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, let's escape. The album for this week is 1,000 Lives by At 1980. At 1980 is an electronic music duo out of Spain consisting of Josh Daly and Adrian Michelena. We've all heard of tribute bands and tribute albums, but these guys belong to a tribute genre. This little subgenre of EDM called synthwave or retrowave is inspired by video games, movie soundtracks, and of course music of the 1980s. This wave has been influential in recent years with its revival of the synthesizer as a featured instrument. Among the most commercial examples of this influence are the soundtracks to the 2011 film Drive and the Netflix series Stranger Things, as well as The Weeknd's mega hit Blinding Lights. Now, self-proclaimed as nostalgic 80s music, At 1980 does one thing I respect the hell out of. They write all their songs on guitar or piano first. This is important to me because at first listen, one might come away from Retrowave with the impression of gimmickry or imitation. However, listening to 1,000 Lives and seeing some of At 1980's videos online, what I read here is genuine influence and passion, musicians with something to say, and a unique, informed manner of expressing it. These are artists who were likely born in the 80s and for whom elements of pop culture from that era were a hallmark of their formative years. So when I hear songs like Have a Heart or Run Away, I wonder about the unique combination of blood, sweat, and tears that went into their writing. A 1,000 Lives has echoes of Starship, Tangerine Dream, Richard Marx, and even Bryan Adams, with a voice in Josh Daly that may well rival the latter two. Perhaps for these artists, the escape is in a world that was, to a time when we were different, when we were young, foolish, innocent, and invincible. Music that asks, do you remember when? An invitation to run away, if only for 38 minutes. 1,000 Lives was released on June 26, 2020 by NRW Records. You know, somewhere maybe near me or perhaps not far away from you, there's somebody driving with the top down, the wind blowing through their hair as they listen to this. Check it out.
Like when we met, was it something that I said to you? Can we forget?
This week's single is Caroline by Magnolian, an indie singer-songwriter out of Mongolia. Caroline is Magnolian's third single after the release of his debut album, Famous Men, from 2016. The song reflects on the promise of love when you first meet someone, that honeymoon period, and the journey that ensues from there, too often ending in separation. It puts us in touch with something that we dare not approach by ourselves, something very private, deep, and sensitive. And Magnolian contrasts the subject matter with a melodic, upbeat arrangement. But there's something else Magnolian is talking about here as well. There's a unique way you feel when you fall for somebody at a young age. When a 16-year-old gets that bug, it's like he's fallen down a well and the only person who can lift him out of it is her. It's a penetrating, immersive experience that perhaps we look for even when we get older. Maybe some of us are still seeking it out. It's when we felt alive and wanted things and when we were young. And so this song is coming from the ever-vivid memory of this girl who got him at that point in his life. And as a result, she'll always have her place in his heart. There'll never be anybody quite like her because he wishes he were still that kid, but he knows those days are gone. Now, what would you do to get back 16? Caroline was released on November 1st, 2019 by Anti-Fragile Music. And here it is. The movie this week is The Truth, directed by Hirokazu Koreeda. It stars the lovely Catherine Deneuve, as well as Ethan Hawke, Juliette Binoche, and a wonderful young actress by the name of Clementine Grenier. The Truth is Koreeda's first film outside of Japan. I was introduced to this director with 2018's Oscar nominee Shoplifters, which was preceded by The Third Murder, After the Storm, and Our Little Sister. The Truth is about an aging French movie star whose daughter comes to visit her during the shooting of her next film, one in which she plays a supporting role while a younger, new star plays the lead. This is a beautifully paced story with perfect balance between meditation and ambition. The Truth presents us with a nuanced look at celebrity while keeping its feet on the ground and reflecting something real and cutting. The film accomplishes the feat of engaging and seducing us from one moment to the next while posing profound questions about age, love, family, and forgiveness. This is a film about the artist, she who will forever be a child, and the people around her who try their best to hang on despite her flaws. Our protagonist Fabienne is a woman whose gift to the world is her art, but when she's off stage, she assumes a cold, emotionally unavailable part. As an artist, she's fundamentally interested in getting people's attention. And the real big insecurity she has is somebody else taking the spotlight from her. Her career is her identity, and her identity is that she's a star. The star. We encounter celebrities and public figures every time we open our computers or scroll through our phones. Their lives chronicled daily, no matter where we look, it seems. But what about the shadows surrounding the lights? What about the people who live there, and their private stories about these stars? Who are they to their loved ones, to their friends, and their peers? The Truth was released by IFC Films on July 3rd, 2020. Here's a little bit from this enchanting film.
Well, I bet all she did was brag.
She seemed sad to me, actually.
Really?
Yeah, she did. Very sad.
I didn't know you'd come here just to see my mother act.
You didn't? I'm a big fan. I'm a really big fan.
You know, you can go instead of me with all her tea-making gear.
Yeah, you know I don't like tea. You know. Why'd you bring me here?
If you have any suggestions for me, shoot me an email at escaperadiopod@gmail.com. And you have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
Yesterday's news.